feels so weird because I haven't done this in such a long time. Well, hello everyone, welcome back. I have a laughing sister in the bed, so ignore that and any other sounds you hear because this is kind of a thrown together June and July reading wrap up. I have been missing from, oh my goodness, would it be a video without Mitchell scratching on the door? We're just gonna keep talking even when there's noises.
Bad boy.
It's gonna be fun to edit. Oh, Mitchell. Anyways, June, I haven't filmed videos since my May wrap up, I think. Anyways, like I was saying, I haven't filmed since I filmed my May wrap up, and that's been a while. June came around and July came around. It was time to film my June wrap up, and I was just like, I don't feel like it. And so I took about a month and a half break, and it was good. And I'm hoping that now I'll actually be in the mood to film again. But today's video is going to be probably a very, what's the word? Jumbled? Rambling? See? Jumbled ramblings. Of the books I read in June and July. So we're gonna start with June, the beginning of June, and I read these books, obviously, some of them almost 2 months ago. So I'm not gonna give many thoughts, just kind of like how I enjoyed it, or I'm not going to explain the books in detail, probably not, just how I enjoyed it in my rating and some of my more favorite ones. Maybe I'll give a little bit more context, but let's just jump right in. This first book that I read in June, or the first book that I finished in June, I actually started it in May, was Daughters of Northern Shores by Joanne Biscoff. And I gave this 5 stars. I loved it. It was the second book in Sons of Blackbird Mountain duology, I think. I think it's just 2 books. And I enjoyed it so much. I can't really give details because it's the second book. And honestly, they're kind of fuzzy in my head right now. I just know that I laughed a lot. Joanne's writing is just like laugh out loud, but also sweet and emotional and all the good things. So I highly recommend. First book is Sons of Blackbird Mountain. Second book is Daughters of Northern Shores. So sweet, so good. Loved it. The next book I read in June was The Night and the Dove by Lori Wick. This is the final book in the Kensington Chronicles, which is crazy. I read the first book, The Hawk and the Jewel, like years and years ago. Loved it. It's one of my, it's one of my favorite books. And I finally finished the series, and it was so good. I laughed a lot. I loved Megan and Bracken. Just, yes. Megan's personality is just kind of, I find it very funny and enjoyable, and she's kind of spunky, and, but basically it's a marriage. Is it a marriage of convenience? Pretty much. She has to marry Bracken, and it's their journey of kind of getting to know each other and the dangers of people, and there's like the ending is, or like close to the end, something happens and it's kind of like, oh, okay. But I loved this. I gave it 5 stars, and I'm sad that this series is over. Very sad. The next book I finished was Desiring God by, I don't have the book with me, but I think it was John Piper, possibly. You'll see on the title, the cover, whatever I put up. I gave this, okay, distraction upon distractions, my storage got filled up and I had to do some deleting. So here we are. What was I saying? Desiring God by John Piper. Gave it 4 stars. I enjoyed it. I read it for a class that I take every Tuesday, which I've mentioned on here before. And yeah, definitely some interesting concepts about being a Christian hedonist. So if you want to look into that more, I would recommend this book. So yeah. And then I read The Lost Melody by Joanna Davidson Politano. And all the tabs for all of her books. I love this book. I gave it 5 stars. The stress level, it's definitely there. Basically, Vivian, is her name Vivian? Vivian goes to find somebody. I'm gonna do a terrible job at explaining this, but basically there's someone in an asylum that she's trying to find, like an insane asylum. And basically the bad people in the asylum admit her as a patient, but she's not. She's completely normal, but then she starts to question, like, am I sane? Am I insane? Like, what is happening? And it's really good. And the faith elements in all of her books are incredible. I still have, I think, 2 of her books that I haven't read yet that are currently out. Will read all of them. And I have yet to read a book of hers that I did not enjoy. So, I definitely recommend this. This is also slightly connected to A Midnight Dance, which I read in May, I think. Yeah, really enjoyed this and highly recommend. The last book I finished in June was Hidden Places by Lynn Austin. This was my first Lynn Austin, and I really enjoyed it. I don't remember all the details of it, but it's kind of stuck with me in one of those books that just like, I remembered it. If that makes sense. Like some of these books that I even rate 5 stars, I'll kind of forget about, but I rated this one 4 stars and it's just kind of stayed with me. So it's kind of like past and present timeline a little bit. The story, basically a stranger shows up on Eliza's doorstep, and he seems familiar and she doesn't know why. And he helps her with her orchard, and she's like she's about to lose her land, and he comes and helps her, and it's their journey, and it's kind of like a mystery element that you're not sure what's gonna happen or like how he fits into her life. And then there's a whole other side story with like one of her family members, or her husband's family members. Her husband passed away, and one of his family members, I think, and it's their side story, and it's their story, and it's really beautiful, and I really enjoyed it. And I also have the movie, which I'm excited to watch. Who knows when I'll get to it, because we all know, actually I don't know if you know, but I'm not a movie watcher. It's just, I enjoy it when I do it, but I just don't usually want to do it. And if you hear noises, it's my little brother. Yeah, anyway, there's that. And then moving into July, I had a reread, and it was so good. July was a super good reading month. I reread A Rumored Fortune by Joanna Davidson Politano. The amount of tabs is probably a little bit ridiculous, but like I don't care because it's so good. And I open it and I read quotes and I'm just like, yes, I love this book. I read it last November, I think, and I had to read it again because Morgan just read it recently. And some of her friends were reading it, and I was like, I have to reread it and tab it because I read it on my Kindle before. And I'm so glad I did. 5 stars all the time. I'm not going to explain it because I've already talked about it on this channel before, so. And then a book I also started in May but finished in July was Fly a Little Higher by, I was gonna look up how to pronounce her name. Laura, whatever her name is, I don't know. But this book kind of broke my heart. It is a true story of a boy, or of a mom whose son has cancer, and his 3 to 4 year journey with cancer, I think. He starts writing songs kind of as his goodbye letters, and his letter, like, instead of writing letters, he writes songs. And it's their family journey, and it's from his mom's point of view, and it's super easy read. It was definitely heartbreaking and sad, but it's so good, so touching, and I gave it 4 stars, but I would recommend this to anybody. And then I read Escape to Freedom by Michael Phillips, the third book in the Secret of the Rose series. Oh my goodness, so good. Twists and turns all the time. I can't say what this is about because it's the third book, but let's just say the stress in this series, like, I don't know if my favorite characters are gonna, I mean, like, I know they're gonna make it, but like, are they gonna make it? And as always, the faith and like the deeper meaning to these books is my favorite. And so if you have not read a Michael Phillips book yet, what are you doing? Can you please go do it like right now? If you take a recommendation from this video, read Joanna Davis and Politano and Michael Phillips. And one other book I'm gonna talk about. So definitely one of my favorite series ever. 5 stars. And then the favorite book of the month of June and July. One of my top of the year. Are you ready? The All-American by Susie Finkbeiner. First of all, the red book just, it's perfect for this book. Like, I love this cover so much. What to say, how to say it, where to start. Basically, read this book. It had me laughing from page 1. Like, I was laughing on the first page. It had me crying at the end. And everything in between that you could have had, it had it. And I fell in love with the characters. The side characters, the main characters, everything. Like, it says an absolute winner on the back, and I could not agree more. That describes this book perfectly. You're following, what's her name? Bertha and Flossie. I want to say that's her name. Bertha and her little sister, Flossie. And it was perfection. Flossie was so funny. Like, her logic, so great. But basically, Bertha loves baseball, and she plays in the neighborhood with the guys in the neighborhood. She's not like other girls, and you know that from the beginning. She loves baseball. But it's, how do I say this without spoiling? Because, yeah. Some things come up that changes her life forever, and it's her journey. And 10 stars. I loved this book. Carmen read it. She loved it. And go read it. Go buy it. Thank you, Susie Finkbeiner, for an actual masterpiece, because I love this book with my whole heart. And then I read An Uncommon Woman by Laura France. I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars, but it was one of those books that I was not sure how to rate it. I don't know, maybe a 3.75. I'm sorry, there's so much noise. I don't know, but I enjoyed it. It's about Tessa Swan, who kind of lives in Indian territory, and it's like in the days when the West is being taken over by the white men, and the forts are being built, Indians are attacking, all of that. And my camera fell over, and we're just gonna go with what we have because I don't have time. This is the most chaotic video I've ever filmed. It's great. But yeah, it's kind of her story, and her love interest is the fort commander. It was a little bit too insta-lovey for me. I was kind of like, this isn't really realistic, I don't think. And also, I mean, I was like, okay, I get it. You've hardly seen a decent male in your lifetime because everybody else is just kind of whatever. But like, the first good guy comes along and you're smitten. Like, is this? But I mean, overall, I enjoyed it. 3.75 stars probably. But it was one of those that was like, I had some things that annoyed me, but yet I was still enjoying it. It also took me a while to read, and it was just a little bit slower, but it was still fun. It was still a good time. The last book in this wrap up, All That Really Matters by Nicole Deese. I had so much fun with this book. I gave it 4.5 stars. I love Nicole Deese's writing, and I think one of my favorite things about her books is the character development, because at the beginning of this book, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, because the main character seemed shallow, and which she was an influencer. Basically, yeah, let me just explain a little bit. She's a beauty influencer who is wanting to audition for a makeover show, to host a makeover show, but she needs some like mentoring experience on her resume. And so she gets a volunteer position at a home for kids who have aged out of the foster care system and who live in a home together. And that experience completely changes her. She meets somebody. I loved Silas. Just his character and his, I don't know, everything. I really enjoyed this, and I'm really excited for book 2, because this is like a duology, like an interconnected thing. And I'm super excited about that book because it follows 2 characters in here that are not like main characters by any means, but they're pretty important. One of them especially was very important in this book. And so we get to follow their journey, and I am very excited for that. So I have enjoyed almost everything I've read by Nicole Deese. 2 of her books were 5 stars. This one was 4.5. I recommend her. So definitely recommend this one if you enjoy a good contemporary Christian romance. It was a very good time. Well, that is the stack of books that I read June and July. I think it was 11 in total. Found some really good books, reread a favorite or 2, and very excited for August. I can't believe we are in August. I feel like I say that every month, like, I can't believe that it's June, July, August, and here we are. August and September and October are going to be very busy months for us. We have trips planned, people coming to visit here in Colorado. Oh my goodness, there's so much noise, but I'm not even gonna care. Hi, Mitchell. Come here, Joe. Say hello. Come here. And this dog, it just got a haircut. Look at him. Does not want to be here. Okay, whatever. But I think that's gonna be all for today. I need to take care of the chaos. But thank you for watching, and hopefully it won't be too long before I see you or talk to you again. Thank you for watching. Bye.